Salvation. Well, hot damn. You know, the archetype of the Messiah in our society is especially potent. It's strong. And even people that aren't Christian, don't ascribe to Christianity, oftentimes we live in a culturally Christian domain where our ethics, our moral common sense is astoundingly Christian. And Jesus looms large. And this notion, this becomes almost common sense that saving someone is good. That saving is goodness. And yet, when we attempt to try and save someone from their suffering, it's usually an attempt to relieve ourselves of our own suffering. And in trying to relieve others of their pain, which comes from a good place, we unwittingly rob them of their freedom. In trying to become the hero of their story, we rob them of the opportunity for their own heroism. In becoming the godly savior, we rob them of their own godliness. I spent a long time with this bad habit of trying to help people out. Or rather, let me rephrase that, of trying to save people. I tried to save people in charitable kind of situations, finding people on the street, trying to help them out and lift them up. I tried to save partners of mine in relationship. And that is an especially common thing. And in trying to, in love, in relationships especially, this is something that I think a lot of people might recognize. Either we are trying to save someone and get them to become the kind of person that we hope that they can be in our lives, or we are trying to be saved by someone else, hoping that they will give us, our beloved, will give us everything we ever hoped for, a home, happiness, and love never ending. In this dynamic of either trying to save or be saved is ultimately disempowering, is ultimately a sort of lie, a charade. Because salvation only ever comes from within us. You can't really save anyone. They are the ones that save themselves. And the way they do that is they choose. A person has to choose salvation for themselves. And what salvation looks like, you don't know. You don't know what it looks like for another person. Maybe they don't even know what it looks like. But it is a choice. And I think that a lot of people get caught up in the illusion that we can save someone. You know, we see it everywhere. Doctors that come and help you out and save you from some horrible malady. Superheroes in movies that come and they save the day and save the world. You see heartwarming stories of people lifting one another up. But true salvation, beyond just doing a surgery for someone or helping somebody out in a pinch, true salvation can only come from within a person. And it may seem like a love or a therapist or a spiritual teacher might be able to offer us that true salvation. And yet, what's really going on is every person that finds salvation through another, they're the ones choosing. They're the ones choosing that teacher, that person to open up with and create a relationship with. We choose who will save us. Because really the secret is we are saving ourselves. And that's the rub. That's the difficulty. That's the illusion of saviors. They're not really the ones doing the saving. Whether it's a teacher, a therapist, a healer, a beloved, we are the teachers, the therapists, the healers, the beloved. We are the source of it. Now, what can sometimes happen is both we'll call him the healer, and the one that is seeking healing will get caught up in this illusion of the crooked cure. And the crooked cure is something, it's a term in therapy, where the healer or the therapist is assumed, somebody goes to them and they suddenly feel a huge shift. They feel immediately their world is different, they are different, and they project this change, this amazing revelation, and shift onto the healer. And they project almost a kind of godly savior-like aura onto this other person. Except it's when they leave, they go back to their lives, they slump back down into the same old patterns, the same old pains. And so they rush back and they blossom and they bloom in the presence of this other person. And then they leave and they wilt. And so, you find this in love relationships too, oftentimes in infatuation, where when you're with the person, you are just glowing, like you just swallowed the moon. And when you're away, you're anxious. You're thinking about them. Oh, are they thinking about me? Are they going to call? Or am I going to see them again? And so there is this illusion of being cured when you're with this other person. But it's an illusion. It's a crooked cure because nothing's really changed in the person seeking healing. They just feel this energy and this security from being with this other person because they are relieved from the responsibility of facing their life and facing their issues, their struggles on their own. And that is ultimately where the real cure happens. When we rise up into our own heroism, when we rise up into our own sovereignty, our own godhood, and stop projecting all the best and strongest qualities of ourselves onto someone else. In Jungian psychology, this is called the golden shadow. And just like regular shadow projection, which is about projecting our darkness and stuff we don't like about ourselves onto someone else, golden shadow projection is about projecting the best qualities of ourselves our strongest assets, the things that, we wish we could have, and which we really do, but we don't see it in ourselves. But we can spot it in somebody else. And when we do, and project all of that goodness, all of that heroism, strength, confidence, godliness onto another person, they seem to shine in our world. They seem to be, in fact, the source of all of these things that we want in our life. And we become attracted to them. We desire to be around them and near this golden, glowing individual. Again, can happen in romantic relationships. Can happen in therapeutic relationships. Often happens in spiritual teacher-student relationships. And unless the teacher or the student is very conscious, this dynamic can go unnoticed. And what happens is a kind of a mutual addiction, a codependency, really, where both people are feeding off of one another. The person seeking the cure is basking in the glow of being near the person that they adore and these qualities that they adore, and they feel amazing. Meanwhile, the person that is purportedly the savior, this healer, they get the glow and the thrill of being the one adored, and that feels amazing. But also, they get this sensation that they are actually the ones imparting the cure, that they are giving the very thing that this person needs most. And they feel this satisfaction and this glowing joy of, I am doing the saving. I am doing the healing. But nothing is really changing. When the person that is seeking the healing or the cure suddenly goes off on their own, the relationship is interrupted for whatever reason. It could be the distance, it could be time, the healer grows popular, has many other people to look after, maybe they die. Whatever separates that relationship, suddenly the individual is on their own again, and the truth comes out, where nothing has changed. Because sitting at the feet or, lying in bed with this person that we adore so much, being around them removes the responsibility that we have of generating this glow, this power, this beauty within ourselves. And it is hard work to do that. Because to really own our gold means to shine and to stand up above the crowd. It means to confront our own shadows and look at the things that are really gross and icky and hard to admit that lie within us. Much easier to stay in this dynamic. And there's this writer, Thaddeus Golas. He says that he was writing about the New Age movement in the 60s and 70s, and how many of the gurus spoke about avoiding desire. But unfortunately, they never noticed the seduction of becoming the object of desire. And it is seductive. And, that's how a lot of good spiritual teachers and gurus and leaders can unwittingly become cult leaders, cults of personality, just people that became the objects of desire without even realizing what was happening. And in that way, when you feel so elevated, when you seem to be really helping so many people, you get lost and you lose sight of the fact that you are actually disempowering these people from becoming their own heroes, from becoming their own saviors. That is ultimately the only way that anyone is ever going to get saved. Permanently, truly. When you rise up in your own power. So, what does this mean? Does it mean that we can't help anyone? Does it mean that we, that we shouldn't even try? Well, no, that's not what it means. We can help one another. In fact, our love will demand it of us. But saving someone, we should be aware of that. Helping another person by really showing up and listening to them. What do you need? What do you really need? I am here for that. I am here for that with an big and open heart. And releasing any attachment that we have to what another person might need, what another person's salvation might look like. If we can do that and release our own attachment, our own desire for a particular kind of salvation for someone, then we stand a chance of maybe doing some good. Because, it's funny that the archetype of the Messiah that causes so much trouble in the first place also has within it the solution for this pickle. In the Christian vision of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, the answer is there at the core. If you want to save someone, you do it through absolute love. Most Christians fall short of this because they get caught up in the illusion, in this trap, that salvation is through Jesus Christ. But no, salvation is through love. Salvation is through love. And Jesus Christ was just one instantiation of archetypal love. There are many others. The Buddha, for example. The various names for all. Allah, God, Goddess. You can find examples of this archetypal love anywhere and everywhere. And true salvation is through love. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean, well, what love really is acceptance. When we love someone or something, we accept them with an open heart, with warmth, with joy. We accept them as they are. Not as we want them to be, not as we hope that they will one day become, but as they are now. And this opens up the possibility of infinite joy. Because if you love something exactly as it is now, if you can love the world exactly as it is today, then you're free. You're free of any grasping or desiring. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to get to. If you can love totally, absolutely, then you're there. Welcome to heaven. Of course, most people don't love that way. They and I get caught up in it as well. Wanting to love, loving someone or loving something, but seeing maybe some way in which it could be better. Oftentimes, out of a desire to spare someone their suffering or spare someone their pain. And so we try and, out of a sense of compassion, out of a sense of sympathy, try and change someone else. And my partner recently reminded me that this is a tendency that I have. And I'm grateful for it, for her reminder. Because when we can really give someone the freedom of just being however they want to be, they're free to change. When somebody is free to be as they are, they become free to change. And when somebody changes, they may change not in the way that you want them to change or hope that they change, but they will change in the way that they need to change. And if your love is pure, then it won't matter that they didn't change in the way you hoped. They changed in the way they needed to change. And you can celebrate with them. Because you accepted them before, and you accept them now. That's what pure love is. And oftentimes, what people need most, it's not somebody to swoop in and give them a bunch of money, give them a bunch of help, raise them up. No, what they need most usually is somebody to come and look at them in the eyes and say, man, you're amazing. You have got it all. I see it in you, and I love you for it. And man, if you do nothing else, your whole life, you are still going to be amazing. Once we're free to be as we are, then we are free to do anything. I think more than people want salvation, what people really want is freedom. Because freedom is salvation. Freedom is salvation. And that's what enlightenment is, too. Enlightenment doesn't give you magic powers. It doesn't make sure that you never, stub your toe again or lose out on a parking spot or whatnot. It means freedom. It means freedom to be stuck or unstuck. It means freedom to feel pain or to feel joy. Freedom is salvation. And when we are truly free, we are also free from the heaven of other people. Because if somebody else envisions a salvation for us, offers it to us, and we go there, and we follow them to that heaven that they described and that they envisioned for us, before long, we will find out that it is a form of hell. Because it is not our heaven. It's somebody else's. So how do we really save someone? You can't, but you can love them. And eventually, with that love as seed and rain and sunshine, they may be able to save themselves. So go out and just love everything. But don't save anything. Because you can't. Because you can't remove a wave from the ocean. You can't save a person from their life. And because ultimately every single individual is an incarnation of God. And you can't save God. God doesn't need saving. And what's more, there's really no one to save. On the most fundamental level, there's no difference between you and me. There's no difference between any of us. It's all just one thing. We're all alone together. There's no one to save.